The next act, I know you're going to enjoy him because he's talented, he's bright, and he's my son, so I know you're going to enjoy him.
This is a Now Boy beat.
All right, there we go. Had a couple minor technical difficulties. I want to thank y'all for tapping in. Welcome to the All on the Business show. ALB TV on YouTube. ALB TV on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Tap in for you to learn the law. Today we dealing with what and how an obligation is used. So y'all go ahead and like this video, subscribe, make sure you share it, hit that notification bell if you haven't already so you can get updates every time I make a new video. Let me know where you from. Let me know what you doing, what you got going on. If you got any questions, make sure you put it in the comment section. Without further ado, like I said, today we dealing with what and how obligations are used. All right, let me turn this mic up a little bit, get a little bit more volume. You know, we want to keep it in the green, touch the yellow just a little bit, not too much though. So we're gonna draw it up for you here. We're gonna get here into the science of obligations. Obligations. Now, when we say what obligations are used for, then we have to understand what is the documentary evidence of an obligation, right? Because if you deal with the United States law, there's different areas where they're going to show you definitions of obligation. However, the most general definition that I'm speaking of is the definition that was provided to us by Congress. So let me go ahead and pull this up. Let's pull up the get out of jail free card book. I'm going to go to the section called What is Money? So let's see. Share the screen. Okay. So here we are at the get out of jail free card. Okay. The get out of jail free card lets us know exactly what House Joint Resolution 192 is talking about. So it was resolved, right, in 73rd Congress, right here on June 5th, 1933. It was resolved in 73rd Congress under House Joint Resolution 192 to assure uniform value to the coins and currencies of the United States, that every obligation heretofore or hereafter incurred, whether or not any such provision is contained therein or made with respect thereto, shall be discharged upon payment dollar for dollar in any coin or currency which at upon payment, the time of payment is legal tender for public and private debts. So that goes back to address the video I made called What is Money? The presentation, What is Money? And then if we go further down, I know we have a definition for obligation. Here we go. The term obligation means an obligation including every obligation of and to the United States accepting currency. So when you see that term of and to, so of means money that's owed from the United States. To, of course, is an obligation owed to the United States, payable in money of the United States, payable in money of the United States. And the term coin or currency means coin or currency of the United States, including Federal Reserve notes, such and such and such, you know. Go a little bit further down, and that's a definition. Obligation or other security of the United States includes bonds, certificates of indebtedness, national bank currency, Federal Reserve notes, bank notes, coupons, United States notes, treasury notes, gold certificates, etc. Right? And when you deal with that, that's dealing with, let's see, that's dealing with Title 18, right? Right here. So that's Title 18 of the United States Code. However, what we dealing with, that's crime. So Title 18 is the crime. That's the crime title. So when you go to Title 18 in the United States Code, you're looking at crimes and things that have to do with crimes. What I'm about to show you is dealing with money, strictly dealing with money. When you go to Title 31 of the United States Code, is dealing with money. So let's see. Title 31 of the United States Code, Section 1501. Okay. Section 1501. Now, this is dealing with documentary evidence requirement for the government obligations. And what this code says is an amount shall be recorded as an obligation of the United States. See, an amount, right? So now you're dealing with the to or the of or and to, right? So an amount of and an amount to shall be recorded as an obligation of the United States government only when supported by documentary evidence of, but pause there, of what? So if I go to of one, it says of a binding agreement, documentary evidence of a binding agreement between an agency and another person, including an agency that is in writing in a way and form for a purpose authorized by law and executed before the end of the period of availability for obligation of the appropriation or fund used for specific goods to be delivered, real property to be brought or leased, or work or service to be provided. So let's just say, let's put a box around obligations, and then we'll put the code for you here. We'll put the code Okay. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a little thing. We're gonna put binding agreement. All right, so an obligation, one form of an obligation or documentary evidence of an amount that shall be recorded as an obligation is a binding agreement. Let's scroll down. Look at number 3. An order required by law to be placed with an agency. Let's say in order to pay. So, just think about how many times how does the government issue an order to pay? Okay, so an order required by law to be placed with an agency. So let's just put an order, right? Let's put the third branch because we trying to narrow it down to exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about the get out of jail free card. So number 6 says liability that may result from pending litigation, right? So let's just put liability. So an amount shall be recorded as an obligation of the United States government only when supported by documentary evidence of a binding agreement, an order, or documentary evidence of a liability that may result from pending litigation, as it says on number 6. So let's put that into perspective. Let's put that into perspective. A binding agreement. All these are what? Obligations. So let's put that into perspective. All these are obligations. So they all the same thing. They all meet in the middle. Let's connect all these, right? And let's drop this down. Now, what does this mean? Well, have you ever had a ticket? What about a citation? Or a complaint? Now, last time you got a ticket in traffic, but last time you got a citation in traffic or a complaint in traffic, it was a civil, right? Unless it was a criminal charge, but we're going to get to that. So a ticket, a citation, a complaint, civil matters, right? Civil what? Obligations. Civil obligations, because a ticket is a binding agreement. When you get pulled over and you get the ticket, the officer says, sign this ticket. And you say, well, if you've ever asked, you say, well, if I don't sign this, will you take me to jail? He said, yeah, it's an arrestable offense not to sign the ticket. It's not an admission of guilt. It's a promise to appear to court. So you want me to agree. You want me to have a binding agreement to appear to court to answer to this financial obligation because the ticket costs money. If it's $100, so you want me to go to court on this binding agreement, and it's an order to pay the $100. So you're telling me I gotta go to court, I gotta pay, right? So what's that all equal? That equals a liability. Oh, that's a liability. That's a liability that may result from a pending litigation. Not just any liability, but a liability that may result from a pending litigation. Okay. Now let's go to the other side. Anybody that's ever been to a county jail and had to fight a case, you know what a discovery is, right? A discovery, another word for a discovery, a bind over packet, right? Because they use all the evidence in a discovery to bind you over into a circuit court, right? You start off in a district court, if I'm not mistaken. You start off in a district court, a lower court. You go to a preliminary. If they find that the state has evidence to proceed with the case and trial, then they'll offer you a bond and a bind over packet. Okay, and that's how they make the bond. You know, if you go to an insurance company An insurance agreement with your car, with the car insurance company, is a bond, but they don't call it a bond. They call it a car insurance policy. So you got to understand there's different ways to call things a bond. But a discovery is a bond, right? And they're going to use that discovery to put a financial charge on you so that you could pay 10% to get out as a promise, as an agreement to return to court for an order to pay the bond, which is a liability for your pockets, right? That may result from this pending litigation. So follow me. A discovery packet, right? Or a ticket, because we know that we could get tickets. A ticket could be a criminal charge. There's DUIs, there's no improper license and stuff like that. Those are misdemeanors and felonies, right? So a ticket can have a misdemeanor or a felony, which is a criminal charge. What else can have criminality attached to it? Just a lot of stuff, but let's just deal with this. A warrant with, and we got to put a warrant with an affidavit. You know why? Because the Constitution says that no warrant shall be issued unless supported by oath, right? An oath with affirmation or an affidavit. And what that means is it has to be sworn under the penalty of perjury under the laws of that state or the United States of America, which they'll never have for you. And that don't matter if it's civil or criminal. But it's really, a warrant is a criminal thing, but even civil, before they even could search your name, they have to show and prove that they have some type of affidavit that swore you did something wrong, right? You have to swear I did something. You have to swear I did a crime. All right. So now, an obligation. We already read that in Title 31, which is the money title. So if you go to Title 31 of the United States Code, that's the money title. If you want to know anything about money in this country, go to Title 31. Just like they have a public contract title, where if you want to know anything about public contract, you go to that title. You want to know about government employees, you go to that title. The president, you go to that title. Congress, you go to that title. So on and so forth. Crime is Title 18, right? Shipping is Title 46. You go to these different titles to find out your rights in the law. Now, as we already discussed in the money title, section 1501, right, that there is a binding agreement. They got a binding agreement, an order to pay, a liability, which is in the form of a ticket, citation, complaint, discovery packet, bind over packet, ticket, warrant, etc. Right? Now, what's this all mean? What's this all mean? Right? Well, let's draw a line going down. And we're going to draw a code right here. I'm going to write Title 31, United States Code, Section 9303. Follow me. And we just going to go there. So many words to write. We just going to go to the title. So let's go here. All right. Now, we already went through the obligation. Now, it says if a person is required under a law of the United States to give a surety bond, the person may give an eligible obligation as security instead of a surety bond. Now, what's a person? A person means an individual, a trust, an estate, partnership, and a corporation. Now, you see, it says it means an individual and all this other stuff, right? And what's an eligible obligation? Well, an eligible obligation means any security designated as acceptable in lieu of a surety bond by the Secretary of the Treasury. So you're dealing with money when you're dealing with the Treasury. So what does the Secretary of Treasury accept in lieu of a surety bond? Well, we already went over that. She accepts binding agreements. The Secretary is going to accept the order. The Secretary is going to accept the documentary evidence of a liability. They're going to accept all these right here. Right? The security, when they give you a ticket to Treasury, what does that mean? Not the Treasury, the officer, when they give you a ticket, they executing that on behalf of the Treasury. So the money that you pay on your ticket, it actually goes to the Treasury. Right? Now, how can we just pay the Treasury? Why would you want to just, why go through the middleman when you could just pay the Treasury? Let's go down. Using an eligible obligation instead of a surety bond for security is the same as using a personal or corporate surety bond, a certified check, a bank draft, a post office money order, or cash. Wow. people's court. So what we telling you now is that using a ticket, citation, complaint, discovery, bind over packet, ticket, warrant with an affidavit, using those instruments instead of a surety bond for security is the same as using cash, check, or money order. Not any money order, a post office money order. Post office, and that's important. It's important to understand a post office money order, because what is post office? The post office is the people's court. The people's court is the post office. All right, and I'm gonna remember. So we're gonna get off into what the people's court is after this. So now we know that obligations are binding agreements, orders, liabilities, which are tickets, citations, complaints, etc. And you could use these instruments as cash, checks, money orders. Follow me. You want an example? I'll prove it further. We'll take you to another example. I want to bring you to a state law to further prove the federal law. So let's go to these state laws of Ohio. And what does it say here? Well, first and foremost, it says Uniform Public Securities Law. Uniform Public Securities Law. Uniform. What's uniform mean? Well, uniform is telling me that it's one. Uni is one. It's one form. It's one form of security out here, y'all. And that's United States security, because the only people that's going to print money is the Federal Reserve. Now, that's not the federal government, but it's signed by the Secretary of Treasury. All the Federal Reserve notes are signed by the Secretary of Treasury. What's it say? Public securities are negotiable instruments. Public securities are negotiable instruments. Securities lawfully authorized and issued by an issuer. Fractionalized interest in public obligations. Ooh-wee. Public securities are lawful investments. Ooh-wee. This is in Ohio, but this is uniform. This is in every state. Eligible as security for repayment of the deposit of public monies. What? Lawful investments for banks, savings, and hold on. What is public securities? Lawful investments. Man, let's just go backwards so we can find what's these defined as. So public security definitions. Hey, let's go. Let's go. Fund means to provide the payment of a debt and expenses related to the payment. General obligation means securities to the payment of debt charges on which the full faith and credit and the general property taxing power, including taxes within the tax limitation, if available to the subdivision of the subdivision, are pledged. Oh yeah. So this Ohio laws right here letting you know that your obligations, your government obligations, your public debts are securities. You know how they say you got to pay your debt to society? Well, your debts to society can be paid, because you can't use a debt to pay a debt. See, when you do this, when you understand this, you understand balancing the public debt, because they lost our money a long time ago. So now who has the right to do this? And that was ORC. Excuse me. That was ORC 133.03. Okay. Ohio revised code now. Let's take it a step further and go. Let's dip back into some other laws, man. I mean, because this the way. It's the way through the water. All right. Look. Now, who can do this? Who can make these types of payments? Okay, this is what you got to really understand. Only the human beings can do this. You know, there is no court officer that could do this, and I'm gonna prove it to you. Your lawyer can't do this for you. Your lawyer can't settle your debts for you. The public defender, nobody can settle the debts for you. They all on one team. It's called the Bar Association. Now, what's this say? When a person required to provide a surety bond given to the United States is insolvent or dies, having assets insufficient to pay debts, the surety paying the government the amount due under the bond has the same priority to amounts from the assets and estate of the person as are secured for the government, and personally may bring an action under the bond to recover amounts paid under the bond. So what you got to understand is the government is insolvent. The government is bankrupt. The government is bankrupt, and now all the people lack the assets. We have assets insufficient to pay our debts, which is why we have a foreign debt through the roof, because we lack the assets. And that was quoted by James Traficant. And if you go back to the What is Money, you'll see James Traficant himself said that this is the biggest bankruptcy in world history, the U.S. government. And they said that the way they was drawing up these laws might lead to their own demise. But the science is they had to set these laws up this way. But that's for another video. So now you say, well, okay, well, surety. How am I a surety? And yada, 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 right? Well, just understand that if another applicable federal law or regulation permits the acceptance of a bond from a surety that is not subject to 9305 and 9306. What are those sureties? Let's go back. Surety corporations. Surety corporations 0403 and 5. Corporations. You're not a corporation. You're a human being. So it says the assets pledged by such surety shall consist of eligible obligations described under section 9303A. I just took you there and I showed you that this is the way to pay your debts. Now, I show you in the law that this is the only way to pay your debts. This is the only way to pay. You can't pay no other way. You can't pay no other way. If you're not paying that way, then you're not canceling the public. You're not fixing the public debt. You driving the debt up because you giving the gift to the government, which you already elected to do a job. Why would you give people that already got the gift of election? That was the gift of office. I don't need to give you any more gifts. And on top of that, what I tell you, the government can't do this right here. The government can't do this. Watch this. Blow your mind one time. Don't do crime. Here we go. So where we at now? What's it say? Let's do the knowledge. Do the knowledge to see. Court officers as sureties, no clerk, marshal, or other employee of the court, nor any member of the bar representing a party in the particular action or proceeding will be accepted as surety on any bond or other undertaking. In any action or proceeding in this court, cash deposits on bonds may be made by members of the bar on certification that the funds are the property of a specified person who has signed as surety on the bond. Upon exoneration of the bond, such monies must be returned to the owner and not to the attorney.
The next act, I know you're
Now,
gonna enjoy him because he's talented, he's bright, and he's my son.
in my
so I know
book,
you're gonna enjoy him.
in my book, Get Out of Jail Free Card, I let you know that no other party could adequately represent you. You can't go and get paid with another party representing your interests. Listen, let's go to the Get Out of Jail Free Card. Going back. Let's go to the Get Out of Jail Free Card. Okay. And what we got here? What's it say right here? Let's see. The presiding officer. Man, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on, baby. We trying to do something else right now. What I'm trying to do is highlight, so y'all can see clearly what I'm. Dang, maybe I just don't know how to do it. Am I tripping? Okay. That part right there, though. You gotta do text selection. I just want to, man, come on, man. Let me do my thing, man. Hating on me right now. Something silly, right? All right. The presiding officer must permit anyone to deposit funds into court who claims an interest relating to the property or transaction that is subject of the proceeding and is so situated that disposition of the proceeding may, as a practical matter, impair or impede the ability of such person to protect its interests unless existing parties adequately represent that interest, such as a court-appointed attorney. Okay, so these court-appointed or even a hired attorney, they represent that interest, and you can't get that interest with that person representing you because that's a bar associate, and they're not gonna allow you to do a surety and certify it. They have to have a certification, and they want to play the game. They want to play the game. The bar associate cannot go against the bar associate. So if a bar associate can't go against a bar associate, then where's your justice in court if everybody here is a bar associate? They have to come to an agreement. So you got to remove one of these legs from this table, and it's got to be the one on your side because you can't kick their side out. You don't got no right to tell them what to do, but you got a right to tell anybody doing business in the name that your parents bestowed upon you to get the hell up out of there. Kick rocks, buddy. Because I don't need anybody representing my interests, because what I'm about to do is I'm about to pay. I'm about to pay. All right. So let's go deeper into that mailbox science. Let's just end it with the mailbox. I was going to get into the Magna Carta sureties and all that stuff, but you know, I think that's a history class. This is a law class discussing the Magna Carta sureties and really how they brought this over here. And where they got that from is a history lesson, you know, where they got the idea of even being sureties and having securities. Who taught them that right there when we know that these people didn't just come out of nowhere? So, post office. Yeah, man, the post office is the people's court. When people talk about administrative process and serving people, see, the post office is the people's court. Why? Because post office is where you send your what? Mail. But there's a catch to it. There's a catch to it. There's a catch to it. The government is bankrupt. So there's a service that must be provided to us in exchange for them losing all the money, right? And changing the stamp system. The service is called USPS. Okay? See, the post office is common. That's common right there. That's common law. But this right here, this statutory. This statutory, the United States Postal Service. United States Postal Service is statutory. The post office is common law. You don't believe me? Next time you go to your post office, when you outside, I want you to look up on that big building. It's a building. When you go to the post office, it's a building. And on the outside of the building, it says post office. I kid you not. It says post office on the outside. Now, when you go inside, when you go in the door, the service is in there. USPS service is in there. So the post office is actually the office where the service works at, but the post office belongs to the people. And the post office is where you send your mail. The post office is where you send your mail. Now, when you think of mail, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? The first thing that comes to your mind is an envelope with a bill or something, right? Something like that. Well, when you send mail, you're doing something. There's an action being done. Mail is a verb. You listening? You think of mail as a noun. Stop thinking of mail as a noun. Mail is a verb. Mail is an action. And what is the action of mail? The action of mail is to deposit. To deposit. This is the Black Law Dictionary. To deposit a letter package with the United States Postal Service. To ensure that a letter package is properly addressed, stamped, and placed in a receptacle for mail pickup. To deliver. But the first thing it says is to deposit. Now let's go to box. Let's go to box. Because when you mail something, you got to put it in a mail what? A mailbox. See, that's the whole thing. You got to put mail in a box. You giving it to the service to put it in a box for you, because the postal offices, they work with boxes, even box crates. Box crates, box this, box that. Okay. Moving forward. I don't want to bore the crowd. I think I'm going to come with another beat pretty soon, too. Let's see. Box. Verb. Box is a verb in the Black's Law Dictionary. Box. Historically comes from English and Scottish law. It means to file a paper with a court of law.
The next act, I know you're going to enjoy him because he's talented, he's bright, and he's my son, so I know you're going to enjoy him.
That's the People's Court.
This is a noun word beat.
To deposit a paper, to deposit or file. To deposit is to file. Let's look up the word deposit. Let's look up the word file. I usually be prepared. This is the end of the class. This is the freestyle lecture. So y'all sit tight. Be patient with me. Deposit. The act of giving money or other property to another who promises to preserve it or to use it and return it in kind. So when you give money or when you give mail, you have to pay for it, for your postage. When you pay for your postage, it's a deposit now. It's an obligation on the United States Postal Service to deliver the mail, to deliver the files or the property or whatever it is that you mailing. It's all considered a valuable thing. Once you place it in a box and you send it through the mailbox or in an envelope, whatever you put it in, and you mail it through a box, you're officially depositing and filing paper with the court of law. Because even if you don't file, even if you mail just a teddy bear, even if you deposit a teddy bear in the mail, it's boxed with the paper, because after you pay for it, they give you a receipt and they put a stamp on it. So when they put that stamp, that's filing the paper with the court of law. So it's important to have a P.O. box, a post office box. But even if you don't have a post office box, which is the true permanent address, you could use a mailing address. A special deposit, a bank deposit that is made for a specific purpose, that is kept separately, and that is to be returned to the depositor. The bank serves as a bailee or trustee for a special deposit by special agreement or under circumstances sufficient to create a trust. Listen, that's it for today's class. The People's Court, the mailbox. Use the mailbox. The post office got a big United States flag outside of it. Common. That's the common law jurisdiction. When you walk in and you're dealing with them postal service people, you tell them what to do because they work for you. This is why the postmaster general is under a bond. So if he messes up the people's mail, the post office mail, if the service messes up the post office mail, then that's when you get to file a lawsuit on their ass. And I'm telling you right now, when you bring that proof of all that mail, all the mailbox deliveries, that right there is proof that you made a deposit in the court of law, and there ain't no court finna deny that. So today was a productive class, or a productive review, what and how obligations are used. We went through what an obligation is, with the documentary evidence to prove that you got an obligation, and to prove that you have an amount recorded as an obligation. I showed you how that relates to civil and criminal matters in court. And I showed you that using these things is the same thing as using cash, check, or money order. I showed you that. I showed you the laws, not just opinion. I showed you the United States law, and then I showed you the Ohio revised code in chapter 133. So I've shown you these laws. And then I also showed you that no court officer or bar associate can actually pledge a surety bond on your behalf. And they have to have a certificate, a certification signed by you for you to pledge yourself as a surety with an attorney. And there's no bar associate that's going to do that, because now this bar associate has to go against the other bar associate. And Coca-Cola would never go against Coca-Cola. See, if two Coca-Cola employees got into it, Coca-Cola, the company, somebody, management, will step in to resolve the situation between these two employees. Otherwise, if somebody wants to sue somebody got to get fired first, because Coca-Cola employee cannot sue Coca-Cola employee. It has to be resolved at the job. If it can't be resolved at the job, now one of these dudes got to get fired, and now it's a regular Joe Schmo. Is John Doe versus Coca-Cola at that point. And now they talking about something. But bar associate versus bar associate ain't gonna fly. And Not only is the prosecutor a bar associate, but the judge is a bar associate, and so is that public defender they trying to throw your homeboy. That little public defender, even when you got your ticket, that little dude that told you, oh, just show me your license and I'll just make sure I get it tossed, or I will get you traffic school. Yeah, that punk right there, he's on the same team as the other people. And all he wants to do is get a quick, easy agreement and get you the hell up out of his way, because he don't want to do no damn paperwork, because they lazy. And we allowed these people to get into the position of government and be lazy. It ain't about them, the government being wrong. The laws is all written how they supposed to be. It's just bad apples in the bunch, and one bad apple will spoil a bunch, especially if that bad apple is the highest apple on the pile, the first one to get grabbed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's rank and file. It's rank and file. You know what I'm saying? So understand the power of the mailbox, understand the power of the people, understand the power of exercising and knowing what and how to use the law for your advantage, because it's there for you to use. And if you don't use it, ignorance is not a defense in the court of law. And the court of law is in the box. It's in the mailbox. So you got to put your knowledge in the mailbox. And all the paper in the world might be white, but all the ink on that shit is black. You know what I'm saying? So you put that black ink on that paper and you put it through that mailbox, and you let them people know that you served them, because you're going to have a return receipt. We're going to do a whole nother video on how to send mail the proper way. Whether you trying to transfer property or you trying to transfer information or make deposits, we're going to get into all that. But first and first and foremost, you got to understand that the obligations that they put on you are directly dischargeable dollar for dollar, just as House Joint Resolution says. But it's not as it seems. Everything ain't as it seems. So, you know, I'm not the type that's going to tell you how to do something and then send you on your way, and now you're doing things that may get you in trouble or jeopardize your freedom because you don't know how to stand on the law yet. I don't want to put anybody in that position. I never will, and I don't like to be in that position, but I'd rather put myself through a ring of fire than put you in it. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I'm trying to take you through everything that I've learned throughout the years, step by step. A lot of this stuff is through observation. A lot of this stuff is just plain old reading the law. This is through observation. I understood that the post office was before the postal service, but I didn't understand what it was until I really just did the knowledge that every post office says post office on the front, but when you walk inside, it's decorated with USPS stuff, but it's called the post office, and it's two different things. The post office don't have an EIN number. The post office don't have no business a taxation number. The postal service has the tax identification number. See, the post office is to the people. So if you get a post office box, you pay a fee for that every 6 months, and then you can put that on your taxes and you know, do what you do like that. But like I said, we about to sign off. We going on an hour. It was a good show. Everybody that tapped in, I appreciate it. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. I hope you hit that ring a ding ding bell so you can know when I come back and drop some more of this precious science. And make sure you drop comments. Let me know where I can make corrections, where I can make improvements to bring you this information in a more effective manner. So tap in with me, all on the business TV, at All on the Business TV, ALLBUSINESS TV on Instagram. Follow my page on Facebook. Hit me off on Cash App if you feel like this is valuable enough. You want to drop a donation so I can start putting more proof into this pudding and putting more pudding into this proof. Cash App, $ALLONABIZ, all on the biz. $, all on the biz. I'm out. Peace.